The new year is upon us, and that means it's time to get excited for 2018's brand new game releases. January traditionally isn't known to be a colossal month of game releases. We're still trying to get over the fatigue of the packed holiday season. However, this January brings with it a lot of exciting new game releases. From ports of existing great games to new platforms, to brand new IPs, to long-running series making their comebacks, you've got it all in January. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the top 12 new awesome game releases of January. Let's get right into this. Number 12, Railway Empire. In Railway Empire, you will create an elaborate and wide-ranging rail network, purchase over 40 different trains modeled in extraordinary detail, and buy or build railway stations, maintenance buildings, factories, and tourist attractions to keep your travel network ahead of the competition. This is very similar to all of the other simulators that have been released on PC, but these simulators typically get very popular, they make an impact on PC, and then they find themselves over on every other different platform. Railway Empire is set for a release on January 26th.
To do this, you have to place switches and signals cleverly to prevent unnecessary waiting times for the trains. Once you have a route, you still have to select which train should operate on this new line. In Railway Empire, there are more than 40 historically detailed locomotives to choose from. You are also in charge of your staff.
Number 11, Far Home. Far Home is a brand new virtual reality title, and it's described as a unique science fiction game that teleports users into the year 2300, where Earth is overpopulated and polluted and humanity are searching for a new home. It's a very interesting game, and this looks to be more of a big budget VR project, and virtual reality currently doesn't have many games like that. Now, this is only confirmed for HTC Vive and Oculus, so a PlayStation VR version doesn't look to be on the table as for now, but it is only arriving in early access in January, so the door is definitely open for a PlayStation VR port in the future, especially if Far Home resonates with the current VR audience on PC. We'll find out as Far Home releases in early access form sometime in January. Number 10, Kirby Battle Royale. Kirby Battle Royale is actually a game that's already been released in Europe, but us over here in the States have not gotten our hands on the game yet. It's a brawler game played from a top-down perspective. Player controls Kirby and he must battle against other versions of himself in an arena. The game features a single-player story campaign along with cooperative play and multiplayer battle modes that are available to play locally and online. Kirby Battle Royale hits the 3DS on January 19th. Number 9, The Inpatient. The Inpatient is a psychological horror game being developed by Supermassive Games for the PlayStation 4 and PSVR, and if you don't know who Supermassive Games are, they actually created one of the surprise hits of this generation in Until Dawn. And The Inpatient is actually set 60 years prior to the events of Until Dawn. You play as a patient whose gender is subject to choice, suffering from amnesia within the Blackwood Sanitarium. The game looks pretty good, and the outcome of the story is entirely consequential upon the decisions that are made, so similar to Until Dawn. If you are a fan of Until Dawn, if you have PlayStation VR, there's a lot of reason to be excited for The Inpatient. It hits January 23rd. Number 8, Darkest Dungeon on Nintendo Switch. Darkest Dungeon has been one of the great indie games of the last decade. That is not hyperbole, it is that good. It's a dungeon crawling game where you have to manage a roster of heroes and explore dungeons below a gothic mansion the player has inherited. Aesthetically, it's a very well developed game, and it's played out in a mix of real-time movement and turn-based combat. It's got some very interesting gameplay elements, and the game has received very positive reviews with award nominations and went on to sell over 1 million copies, and now with it finally hitting the Nintendo Switch, to be able to play it on home or on the go is definitely going to be nice, and it's set to hit the Switch sometime in January.
You are a part of this place.
Number Number 7, Street Fighter V Arcade Edition. Street Fighter V Arcade Edition is the first major updated version of Street Fighter V, but the nice thing about this game is that for those of you that own Street Fighter V already, it'll be a free update. If you're looking to just get into the Street Fighter V experience, it'll cost $39.99 for the standard edition. It'll feature all of the original playable characters, including the DLC fighters, an arcade mode, new modes such as an extra battle mode, selectable V-triggers, as well as new visuals to the game's design. Street Fighter V was released to a lot of controversy. Hopefully the franchise can get back on track with the arcade edition as it's set to be released on January 16th. Number 6, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory. Digimon is one of the most iconic anime of all time, and obviously there have to be comparisons made to Pokemon. They're very similar, but also very different, but just on design. The comparisons have to be made, but Pokemon in the video game realm has far triumphed over Digimon. However, Digimon has some pretty good games as well. Back in 2016, we saw Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, and now we have Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Hacker's Memory, which is gonna be a similar traditional JRPG experience, and you can choose between Gutsumon, Betamon, or Tentamon as your partner at the start of the game, with more obtainable Digimon throughout the story. Hacker's Memory features 320 creatures in total, including all of those present in Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, plus an additional 73. Unfortunately, it does reuse a lot of the original areas and maps found in its predecessor. There are some new areas, but that does seem a little lazy. Regardless, hopefully Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth can be a quality experience as it hits PlayStation 4 on January 19th. Number 5, Lost Sphere. Lost Sphere is the latest game from Tokyo RPG Factory, and while that isn't the most notable studio in the world, they are starting to gain some traction. It was a studio that was created by Square Enix to create very nostalgic and high-quality Japanese RPGs. Their first title was I Am Setsuna, and that was a very good game. It did have some issues, but overall, from the aesthetical design, storytelling, and sound direction, it had a lot to love, and now we have their second title in Lost Sphere. It's a spiritual successor to I Am Setsuna, and what we've seen thus far has looked really good, of a similar style to I Am Setsuna. Expected to once again be a very nostalgic JRPG experience with a great story and somewhat traditional gameplay. Lost Sphere is set to hit the Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, and PC on January 23rd. Number 4, Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball games have been around for a very long time, going back to the 90s. They've made an evolution throughout the years. Some of them are really good, others not so much, but Dragon Ball FighterZ has the entire gaming world excited. The design of the game is awesome with an incredible art style, and the gameplay itself borrows concepts from several other fighting games, primarily the Marvel vs. Capcom series, with its control scheme and team mechanics. You select 3 characters to form a team, 1 character is controlled, and can be switched with the other characters at any time. You can do assist moves, attacks, and combos with the entire team, and it's gonna have a lot of fan service. The story itself revolves around Goku and his friends who must fight against a new battle received from Android 16 and an army of super androids designed to reassemble and fight just like them. The story is split into 3 chapters: the Super Warriors arc, the Super Villain arc, and the Android arc, each of which follows the story from the perspectives of different characters. Dragon Ball is one of the most iconic series of all time. Xenoverse was a quality set of games. Hopefully FighterZ can follow in suit, although it is a different style of experience. From one fighting game of an iconic franchise to another, number 3 is Dissidia Final Fantasy NT. Dissidia Final Fantasy NT is the return of the awesome Dissidia Final Fantasy franchise, which made an impact on the PSP with Dissidia Final Fantasy and Dissidia Final Fantasy Duodecim. It has its action RPG elements, and given the fact that it's being developed for the PlayStation 4 instead of the PlayStation Portable, you can expect a significant technical upgrade. The game itself is a follow-up to the previous Dissidia games and similarly allows players to battle one another using many characters from the Final Fantasy series. However, it does have several gameplay refinements. Originally, this was a Japanese arcade title that was released back in November of 2015, and it'll be finally hitting stateside and on PlayStation 4 on January 30th, 2018.
The team who scores 3 knockouts first wins. In combat, characters can perform 2 kinds of attacks: bravery and HP attacks. Bravery attacks decrease your opponent's bravery, while increasing your own by the same amount. And receiving a bravery attack will in turn reduce your bravery. These attacks are important because the higher your bravery rises, the more
Number 2, Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom. When you talk about the best Japanese RPGs of the last decade, Ni no Kuni has to be among the best ones. It was one of the best games released on the PlayStation 3. Level 5 did an incredible job with that game from the art direction, storytelling, music, especially from an aesthetical design standpoint. It looked amazing. It was a very appealing game with that Studio Ghibli art style. Now we have Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom, which, best of all, aesthetically, it's very similar to the first game, and it is a sequel to the first Ni no Kuni game, but it stars a new character, so you should be able to jump right in. You play as a young king who is usurped from his castle and sets out to reclaim his kingdoms. You can freely navigate throughout the game's open world, other characters can be controlled during battles against enemies, and it looks like a very nice follow-up to the already great foundation that Level 5 set with Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch. Even if you're not a big fan of Japanese RPGs, if you like your charming games, if you like games with immersive storytelling, then definitely check out Ni no Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom as it hits the PlayStation 4 and PC on January 19th. And finally, number 1, Monster Hunter World. Monster Hunter is finally back on current generation platforms. For a long time, the series has been relegated to Nintendo platforms, and while those games were good, they definitely were shackled from a technical perspective, but those shackles are coming off with Monster Hunter World. When we saw the game at Sony's E3 press conference earlier this year, everyone was excited, and the game from a technical perspective looks absolutely brilliant. Now we have much larger maps, seamless transitions between zones with very few load screens, 4-player online co-op, and it'll allow you to play worldwide together. That's a first for the series. Monster Hunter World is shaping up to be an incredible game, really raising the bar for the Monster Hunter franchise. Hopefully it delivers. Monster Hunter World will be hitting the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One on January 26th. A PC release is set to follow later in the year.
What the heck is that?
So that wraps up our countdown of the top 12 games coming in January 2018. What do you think? Which games in January are you looking forward to the most? We've got so many great games coming in January, something for everyone really. So let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching and goodbye.